No, I think African leaders are now becoming too much. These are jokers, and something should be done seriously to deal with these jokers in the name of leaders. How can you make yourself how can you compete against yourself in an election? How possible is that? How is that possible in the first place? That you, as the president, you impose yourself on the people. You call a coronation an election. Ballot papers are presented to the polling stations when they're already marked. So what is the need for this? Elections are very expensive to conduct. And this is always an opportunity for citizens to elect leaders of their choices. But now you, as the president, as a dictator, you want to impose yourself on the people. You are unwanted. People don't like you. Why don't you just accept yourself? Enough is enough, Africans. This is too much. Look at what happened in Cameroon. Paul Biya, very old, cannot even mention his name. The guy is 92 years old, has been in power for over 40 years. In fact, if he assumes power, this guy is going to serve for, he's going to rule for 50 years. But what good has he brought to the people of Cameroon? Any development? Nothing. Zero. Then you come and say that you still want to rule as a president. Why can't you let people elect the leader they want? Why do you want to die in power? What good does dying in power have to individuals? Leave power when the time has come. Just accept. You must not be removed by the military or by a revolution. Look at Uganda. The old man, Yoweri Museveni, has also vowed not to leave power. Has been in power for over 30-something years. There's nothing good in Uganda that he can say is an achievement. Then he comes and tells people that this is the last time I'm coming to ask you to vote for me. Guys, Africans, we are jokers. We are very big jokers. Then you find that there are people who also entertain this nonsense. I think the time has come that now Africans will look for justice the way they want. If it means going to the street to get that justice, so be it. Look at what is happening in Tanzania. No, that is unacceptable. You cut the internet. You gag the media. You stop people from expressing their opinions. Opposition leaders thrown into jail. Then you compete against yourself. Is that an election? Shameful. That is a coronation. You're coronating yourself. Africa, I don't know. Sometimes I ask myself, why is Africa where it is today? After so many years after independence. The colonizers we have been blaming every time when they are coming to look for votes, they lie to common citizens that the problem has been the colonialist when they're given the chance to lead. They become rulers instead of leaders. They run public affairs as private enterprises. What's happening in Africa? Come on, man. Guys, what's happening? Madagascar, you saw what happened there. And wait for more. People will be going to the streets. They will be going to the streets to look for justice. Because what is now happening in African countries is a total bullshit. It's really dehumanizing. It's a total frustration. Then what's the need for voting? In fact, right now, there is no African country that you would give a clean bill of health that they can conduct a free and fair election. Elections are rigged even before they are conducted. These elections actually consume a lot of taxpayers' money, but what it is intended for is not reflected. So it's high time Africans realize that what is happening is a culture that is getting deeper into the system, and the earlier the better. So I personally stand with the citizens of Cameroon who are up in arms, who have gone to the streets to look for justice there. I am in support of our neighbors, the people of Tanzania, fighting for their rights in the streets. They don't want a self-imposter, somebody who even assumed leadership under very unclear circumstances. People thought that Samia Suluhu was going to bring good things to the people of Tanzania. But now the result, she's now become a different face. You try to oppose her, jail. You try to say anything that does not go in support of the government, abduction. We have seen people being abducted from Kenya and taken to Tanzania. So I don't know what is happening in East Africa. There's a big problem in East Africa, especially Uganda and Tanzania. Let me not leave Kenya out. Kenya is also a culprit. Oh my goodness. Africa, Africa. What will we do to save Africa? European countries are doing so well. But Africa, we always call for independence. We need to rule ourselves. We want to lead ourselves. But we don't have the capacity because of poor leadership. Instead of leading the people, they rule the people. Dictatorship, left, right, and center. I'm not happy. I'm very disappointed as an African. You see, I look at the current wave of dictatorship in African countries, and I just wonder why Africans fought for independence. I've just realized that the situation in Tanzania is actually becoming worse as days go by. The government of Tanzania has shut all the media platforms, especially the social media. Internet has been cut, and this is in a bid to stop or rather block citizens from accessing information from the ground. The government of Tanzania doesn't want the world and the people of Tanzania to actually know what is happening in Tanzania. There is a dictatorship going on in Tanzania, and nobody really expected this to go to this extent. Imagine opposition leaders are in jail. There are those that were abducted. Nobody knows their whereabouts. And election is and a general election is going on. Where on the earth can somebody do such a thing? So inhumane. How can you run or compete against yourself? It's quite shameful, and I really don't know the future of African countries, where the future of African countries is really heading. Because how can you decide to throw everyone that opposes you into jail? Then is the election in Tanzania is actually, that is a coronation. That is not a competition. She's actually competing against her shadow. I'm telling you, here in Kenya, we say that we make a lot of noise saying that our country is in a bad situation. But I'm telling you, the case of Uganda, the case of Tanzania, the case of Equatorial Guinea, amongst others, have shown it clear that Africa is actually heading nowhere. And to make it worse, this is happening in Tanzania. There is a crisis in Sudan, Equatorial Guinea. The president doesn't want to get out of power. Look at what happened in Cameroon. Paul Biya is as forcefully re-elected himself. This is somebody who has served for over 4 decades and is actually clearly showing that he's not going to relinquish power. This is somebody who is has been referred as an absentee president. Is just there by virtue that there is nothing that people can do. But the reality is that Africa as a continent is heading towards the worst. The worst in the future. Who is going to help Africans? Right now, in Sudan, civilians are being slaughtered just because there is lack of leadership. Africans now have resorted to going to the street to look for justice because the systems are rotten. Africans should wake up. What is AU doing, African Union? What is this body doing? United Nations organization, where are you guys? All this is happening in Africa. Africa is a very rich continent with resources, but the leaders we have got no shame. They believe that power is everything. They want to run public affairs as if these are their personal businesses. So I will support what is now currently going on in Africa. If a leader doesn't want to get out of power, doing nothing in power, no development, no good vision for the country, let people go to the streets and look for justice there. I didn't imagine that the case of Tanzania would reach that extent. Right now, curfew has been put in place. But the people have said they are not going to relent. They are going to push this woman out of power. And Samia Suluhu has really presented a very bad image of her leadership. She should have been a little bit wise enough just to leave the opposition members to be on the ballot. And even if it is an election that she wanted to rig, the way she has done it has really exposed her badly. Africa, I really don't know. I really don't know. Uganda, opposition leaders are in jail. No clear reason. They are put there on trumped up charges. And the election is just around the corner. Uganda is preparing for elections next year, January. There are civil rights activists, human rights activists who are in jail just because they criticize the government of Museveni. All these things are happening and nobody is concerned about this. Africa must now unite and kick out these irresponsible leaders out of power, if that is the only way they can be pushed to behave.